Hey fans! Let's go to the Lakers news today. First, don't forget to help us, subscribing to the channel and leaving your like. Lakers take 3-1 series lead over Grizzlies behind LeBron James' 22-point, 20-rebound overtime performance. The Lakers have Memphis on the brink of elimination. Just when you thought the Memphis Grizzlies were about to tie this series at 2 games apiece, the Los Angeles Lakers reminded the basketball world how they've managed to go 22-10 since the trade deadline. Trailing by 7 with just over 5 minutes to go, 3 straight D'Angelo Russell three-pointers dragged them back into the game. And then, with only 0.8 seconds remaining, LeBron James tied the score at 104 apiece with a high-arcing, banked layup with Defensive Player of the Year Jaren Jackson Jr. in front of him. The game went to overtime from there, and the Lakers took over. James made a layup with Dillon Brooks breathing down his neck to give the Lakers a 5-point lead with under a minute left to go, and that effectively clinched it. After trailing the Grizzlies for most of the second half, the Lakers pulled together and took back a game they desperately needed. Now they can clinch the series on Wednesday in Memphis, and the Grizzlies will have to figure out what went wrong down the stretch. Here are the biggest takeaways from Game 4. Better late than never. The theme of this game for the Lakers? Better late than never. It started in the fourth quarter. D'Angelo Russell, who hasn't shot 35% from the field for his career in the postseason, had been even worse thus far in this series. He was a defensive punching bag for Memphis at the end of Game 2, and through 3 games, he was shooting just 33.3% from the field and 28.6% from three-point range against the Grizzlies. Darvin Ham took an enormous risk by reinserting him into the game down 7 with around 5 minutes left. Russell rewarded him with 3 consecutive three-pointers before fouling out. The turnaround was even more stark for LeBron James and Anthony Davis. The Laker duo combined for 54.8 points per game during the regular season, but had just 23 through 47 minutes and 53 seconds of Game 4. And then, they flipped the script with the following sequence. James makes the game-tying layup with 0.8 seconds remaining. Davis blocks Morant's game-winning mid-range attempt. Davis scores the first 2 points of overtime on a layup. James scores the next 2 points of overtime on a layup. In 1 minute and 17 seconds of game time, James and Davis turned a probable loss into a probable win. That is what superstars do. They can struggle for entire games, and then swing the outcome when it counts most. Davis, dealing with a hip injury suffered in the middle of the game, never got it going offensively. He didn't need to. He was once again so dominant on defense that the Lakers managed to make it to overtime with only 104 regulation points. James spent the entire game settling for jumpers. On the 2 biggest possessions of the night, he went to the rack and found the points the Lakers needed most. Throw in his 20 rebounds, giving him the first 20-20 postseason game of his career, and the 2 of them both found a way to win the Lakers the game they had no business winning. Morant feeling the hand injury. Ja Morant managed 45 points on Saturday. The Grizzlies may have lost Game 3, but it was encouraging to see their star put up such a gaudy stat line. It suggested that in a closer game, Morant could still carry the Grizzlies across the finish line. Well, he got a closer game on Monday, and if he'd looked anything like he did on Saturday, the Grizzlies probably would have won. He ultimately shot 8 of 24 in defeat. That included a 1 of 6 line from the field in the fourth quarter and overtime. So what happened? A few things worked against Morant. Part of his 45-point performance on Saturday relied on making 6 three-pointers. As we've covered, the Lakers strategically sacrificed those shots by going under screens. They continued to do so on Monday, but Morant missed those shots. That's to be expected. Morant shot below 30% on pull-up threes this season. To some extent, he just cooled off. Dennis Schroeder's ball pressure also deserves a ton of credit. But here's a stealthier explanation. In the third quarter, Morant took a hard fall after a layup and clearly aggravated his hand injury. He stayed in the game, but he was visibly in pain. Whether or not James took this into account is not clear, but twice in the second half, he managed to draw charges on Morant. On both occasions, the two of them fell hard onto the court, but Morant, starting in the air on both of them, clearly took the brunt of the falls. Morant is known for taking big falls. We can't say for certain if his aggression cost him this game, but he clearly played through pain, and those tumbles couldn't have helped matters. All bark, no Brooks. Dillon Brooks has likely delivered more trash talk towards LeBron James in this series than any opponent has in years. He stated publicly that he wanted to face James and knock him out right away before the postseason began. He called him old after Game 2, claimed that he doesn't respect an opponent until they've dropped 40 on him. Unless you count the 20 points and 20 rebounds James accumulated in Game 3 as 40 in the aggregate, LeBron hasn't quite lived up to that billing. But he's come a whole lot closer to that figure than Brooks has. In 2 Los Angeles games, Brooks wound up shooting 7 of 22 from the field and 2 of 12 from three-point range. He was ejected from Game 3 after hitting James in the groin. James went at him one-on-one on the pivotal possession of overtime and not only scored over him, but drew a foul in the process. Brooks didn't speak to reporters after either road game. Only the Memphis locker room knows just how tiring Brooks' antics really are, but it is a universally accepted truth in basketball that you have to actually back up your trash talk with your play on the court. Brooks has played well defensively, but he's been an undeniable net negative in the series as a whole. They've been outscored by 14 points during his minutes, and he riled up an already excited Los Angeles crowd that gave the Lakers a major boost in both of the last 2 games. Throw in any extra motivation for a Lakers team that has rallied behind its leader, and this series is turning out to be a borderline disaster for Brooks. Don't forget the like to help the channel. Thanks for watching.